For decades, Canada's economy was built on one simple rule: feed the American market. 75% of everything Canada produced, cars, steel, oil, went south to the United States. But in 2025, that old playbook is being ripped up. When President Trump slapped 25% tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, threatened even higher taxes on cars, and even floated a 10% levy on Canadian oil, Ottawa didn't back down. It fought back. Now, Canada is rewriting the rules of North American trade, and the world is taking notice. The shock came fast. In March 2025, the U.S. hit Canadian steel and aluminum with 25% tariffs, then threatened the same for cars and auto parts. The White House even whispered about taxing Canadian energy. Overnight, businesses on both sides scrambled. Ferrari, fearing cost spikes, raised U.S. prices by 10%. Small Canadian companies like ABC printing firm abandoned American sales entirely, terrified of sudden 50% tariffs. Canada retaliated hard, slapping 25% duties on $155 billion of U.S. goods, targeting political pressure points. Prime Minister Trudeau warned Americans directly, "These tariffs will raise your grocery bills, your gas prices, and put U.S. jobs at risk." In Michigan, where 1 in 5 workers depends on autos, business leaders begged Trump to stop, fearing factory shutdowns. With the U.S. market suddenly risky, Canada pivoted fast. It signed a landmark deal with Indonesia, a rising economic powerhouse of 280 million people, slashing 90% of tariffs and locking in trade for critical minerals like nickel, essential for EV batteries. Tech giants like Foxconn, Apple's key supplier, highlighted their global networks as shields against U.S. chaos. Auto companies, spooked by Trump's threats, reconsidered investments. Honda's $15 billion Ontario EV plant hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Canada's message to the world? We're the stable ones. Foreign investment poured in, up 9% in 2023, while the U.S. saw a 28% drop. Trade Minister Mary Ng summed it up: "Predictability is our competitive edge." The shift wasn't just about big corporations. Across Canada, small and medium-sized businesses were reinventing themselves. A Winnipeg aerospace supplier that once relied entirely on U.S. contracts began selling to European train manufacturers. Vancouver tech startups, previously focused on Silicon Valley partnerships, turned to Singapore and Berlin. Even Canadian farmers found new markets, with prairie wheat shipments heading to Indonesia and Vietnam instead of their traditional Midwest routes. "We've learned we can't put all our eggs in one basket," said the CEO of a Montreal AI firm that opened its first Tokyo office in 2024. Diversification isn't just strategy anymore, it's necessity. The fallout is already real. In Michigan, automakers fear disaster. 25% tariffs could kill jobs and spike car prices. U.S. consumers, already squeezed, face higher costs from TVs to trucks. But Canada isn't immune. It still sends 76% of exports south, and betting on Asia brings risks of its own. Yet the numbers tell a story. Canada's economy grew at 2.6% in late 2024, outpacing the U.S. factories' hum in Ontario, while American supply chains sputter. The question isn't just about tariffs, it's about which model works in a fractured world: America's go-it-alone approach or Canada's web of alliances. As 2025 unfolds, the money is moving. Canada's economy, once tied to the U.S., is now hedging its bets and winning. But the U.S. isn't just losing a customer, it's risking its closest ally. The real cost of Trump's trade wars? It might not be measured in tariffs, but in trust. So what comes next? Will the U.S. double down, or will Canada's gamble pay off? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe.